So in today's vlog, I'm going to explain how this mobile home park will make you over $100,000 a year. For the sake of this video, I'm going to assume you don't know who I am. So my name is Armand Violi. I am a commercial real estate broker who specializes in the mobile home park industry. I'm on a team called Other Street Advisors. We've done over $2 billion worth of sales, evaluated over $6 billion worth of parks. What I'm going over is one of our listings called Duck Pond Mobile Home Park. Today we just got updated financials on it. Figure it'd be a good idea to just explain how a mobile home park like this actually brings in $115,000 in net income. So this listing, we have it listed for $1.3 million right now. That puts it at a 12.68% cap rate with its current income with adjusted expenses. Adjusted expenses mean we have the expenses from the seller and then what it realistically would take a new improved investor when he runs the park, what the expenses are actually going to be. In this case, it didn't really drop at all from her expenses. The only difference was her expenses for 2019 had rehab costs for some of the homes that she owns. But anyways, we'll get into that later. So the way this mobile home park and many others make their money is similar to an apartment building. You charge rent. In the case of mobile home parks, you charge site rent, aka lot rents, and you charge the rental rate for the home. Some people have it grouped together as one cost. Better way to do it is to actually split out the two costs, because some parks have a mix of just lot rents and the tenant owns the homes, and some parks you own most of the homes, if not all the homes. This park is one that has majority park owned homes, aka the community owns the homes. Similar to an apartment building, they own the actual building, they have to manage the building. The average site rent, $325. So that means for each lot, it brings in $325 a month in gross income. And then on top of that, your average home rent, which is the actual cost of renting the home, is $451 on top of that. So that gives you a total of $776. Now this park's a total of 30 spaces. Of the 30 spaces, 27 are park-owned homes. The pros and cons of owning the homes versus not owning the homes is pros, you get more cash flow. You have more control of how the park looks because you're in charge of the homes. You could rehab them if you want. More cash flow because you're bringing in cash flow from those homes. Even though the home is physically depreciating, the land isn't, and you're getting really high cash flow off the home. The downside is banks, when they look to evaluate these properties, they really only look at the actual rental income from the land. That's what they actually give the loan on. Then they just assign an arbitrary value to the home. So let's say this park, for example, the lot rent's bringing $325 a month. That would be applied to the entire park, every single lot, and that's what a bank would actually value it on. And then the homes, they would assign a set value to the average home. Let's just say it's $12,000 a home. So you'll get your value of the land, and then you'll have the value of the homes just tacked on top. With this park bringing in $325 per lot plus $451 per home, the actual total money that this brings in, it comes out on a yearly basis to $242,403. That's on the gross income based on its current rent roll. Rent roll as in the actual lineup of tenants that it has and who are paying rent. That does account for, in our underwriting for that $242,000, it does account for there's going to be the occasional vacancy, turnover, etc. When people move out, you got to clean the unit before renting it out. You have people who just don't pay all the time. With that accounted for, it brings in $242,000. These are all estimated numbers, by the way. To get exact, you actually got to go on our website, sign the confidentiality agreement, check this out. So off that $242,000, it obviously doesn't make that much because you do have expenses. On expenses, what those run on a park like this, you'd expect it to be somewhere between 25 to anywhere to as high as 50%. This park happens to be a pretty smooth running park. The expenses in the prior years were a little high, but that's because the owner of the park was rehabbing some of the new homes. Now that they're rehabbed and they're rent ready and that she got them filled, the income's higher. So the income's actually up from $100,000 to $110,000. Anyways, let me show you how you get there. So you got $242,000. I'm going to tell you our adjusted expenses. The actual is around $225,000 and it nets about $115,000. That's with the major repairs for the park-owned homes. We have that exactly itemized, so this isn't like us fluffing expenses. We have it actually itemized so you can see, okay, this much money went to these park-owned homes. With the adjusted expenses, we got taxes, they're about $4,000. Insurance, that's about $7,500. Staffing, which is going to be a manager and a maintenance guy, that's a total of $16,000 per year. Plant operator, so the sewer on this is a wastewater treatment plant, so it's going to be a little pricey. That's at $10,000 a year. Just general expenses, administration expenses, we got $2,000 a year. Advertising is about $1,200. Licensing and permits, that's $745 a year. You got trash, that's gonna be $4,800 a year. Dumpsters that you gotta pay. Dumpsters usually run anywhere from $350 to $700 a month. Her actuals is $4,800 a year. Utilities, so that's like the general park utilities. There's gonna be common area lights, street lights. There's gonna be a common area in case you had a clubhouse. This doesn't have a clubhouse, but just watering the grass, common area stuff that the park actually has in front. $6,700. Repairs and maintenance, it's probably gonna run you around $6,000 a year. That's what we have it in there as. Repairs and maintenance on a park-owned homes, we're assuming there's going to be a 30% turnover at $2,000 per home. So that means each year you expect to turn over 30% of the homes, and each of those turnover costs between minor repairs and cleaning is going to be about $2,000 a home. Property management, it's going to be 5% of the gross income. That's like industry standard. That's going to run you about $12,000. That brings the total operating expenses to $78,000 roughly off $242,000. That leaves you with a net, the money that you make in cash flow, about $165,000. That gives you a cap rate of over 12%. That is not fluffed expenses. That's the actual rent roll with actual expenses. But yeah, so that's how these mobile home parks make money. Now, one thing a person not in the industry might be wondering is, oh, it's a mobile home park. Aren't you worried tenants aren't going to pay? Aren't you worried collections are going to be bad, especially with coronavirus? If you look up any major commercial real estate study right now, you'll see that the number one performing asset class is manufactured homes. Number 2 is apartments, and it's C-class apartments. And at the bottom of the list, you got hotels and retail. Obviously, no one's traveling, going on vacations, and obviously brick and mortar stores you can't walk into because of coronavirus, or it's more difficult to, so they've been taking a hard hit. Manufactured housing's performed the strongest. They performed at around, I think it was 97% of normal, so they were almost completely untouched across the board. The reason being is when a recession hits, people paying rent, it's not that collections get worse, it's that when a recession hits and the economy gets worse, the returns on properties compress because people drop down to a lower rental rate. So let's say families renting a $2,500 a month house or apartment, they would move down and try and get like a $2,000 house. The people from 2,000 move down to 1,500. 1,500 moves down to 1,000. 1,000 moves down to 500. When you get to 500 and below, there's nowhere lower to go. Regardless of a recession, lower income, your typical 10 an hour, 12 an hour jobs, you could afford $250, $350 lot rents. It's the cheapest that there is. So no matter what, all of these people have nowhere else to go but mobile home parks when it comes down to it. And they're able to afford it because standard wages, low wages, can still afford to live there. Now, owning a mobile home park, assuming you run it right, which is why big investors are coming into the space, is obviously you have to vet your tenants, run an application. You're not going to admit people that are high risk. You're going to look for someone who has a stable job. Standard things that an application looks for when it comes to renting an apartment or a house. So just keep in mind, if you're looking at investing getting into the whole real estate game, obviously when you have a lot of money, this is like a big player's game, takes a lot of money. Like, this is considered a tiny property and it's 1.3 million. Like, most of the properties we deal with and the buyers we deal with, they won't even touch anything below 100 units. So this is obviously a space that you need a lot of money to get into. But once you're into it, people who move from apartments to manufactured housing love it all the time because the cash flow is so good. Like I was saying, listed for $1.3 million. It's called Duck Pond Mobile Home Park. If you're interested in it, want to take a look at it, see this entire packet, there's actual pictures, contact information, all the info you would need, retailer map, every single thing you need would be in this packet. If you shoot me an email at armand@otherstreet.com, or if you head to our website, otherstreetadvisors.com, you could actually check this out. You'll just have to sign a confidentiality agreement. You'll have access to the whole packet, rent roll, P&L, expenses, whatever you need. Feel free to shoot me an email, comment below. On that note, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a good night, and stay tuned for more.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars.